You've seen what's been going on with the news media as of late. Politically motivated cancellations, defunding altogether. Media that defies the Trump administration is legitimately under attack. I'm Sam Gonzalez, Digital Director here at Progress Texas, and guy at the bottom of your Friday email. And I would like to remain that guy who helps Texans get the type of progressive news they need. But here at Progress Texas, we've only got about 3 months left of funding remaining, so that hangs in the balance. You've seen what our team can do day in and day out. And imagine a world where Progress Texas couldn't keep the progressive fight going for you on your behalf. Now, I hate asking for help, but we need your help. If only 1 in every 10 people in our audience signed up as a monthly contributor, we'd make our funding goal for the next year. That's like the price of a dozen eggs. Probably at this point. Why not be that one? And I know you're not trying to think about it, but next year we have the 2026 midterm elections. So what you can do is, let us think about it. Let us fight for you, and know that your $10 a month would get hundreds of thousands of eyes and ears on the things that affect your community. Join us during our summer vacation membership drive, happening now at ProgressTexas.org. That's ProgressTexas.org. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Democrats for far too long have been handcuffed in redistricting issue. I am all for fair, independent redistricting commission as long as it applies to the country as a whole. But we have to play by the same rules. We can't have one set of rules for Republicans and one set of rules for Democrats. So if Republicans aren't going to engage in partisan redistricting, Democrats need to do the same. Many of my House colleagues, I just came from the Texas House before joining Congress. I just recently met with Governor Newsom and Governor Pritzker to talk about this very thing, encouraging these states to do the same. And I absolutely applaud that. I think these states absolutely should do that. And I think they're doing a disservice to our country by not.
Dallas Congresswoman Julie Johnson from MSNBC over the weekend. Full interview is linked in our show notes this morning. It's Monday, July 28th, 2025. And this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch. Rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. Help from outside the state and calls for Texas Democrats to execute a quorum break have become a drumbeat across the landscape of progressives and Democrats in Texas. And both of those ideas were central to the messaging from all of the speakers at Friday night's The People versus the Power Grab rally in Northeast Austin that Progress Texas covered. Beto O'Rourke's Powered by People put that together, and he spoke, as did Congressman Joaquin Castro, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, Congressman Greg Casar, and Texas State Reps Gina Hinojosa and James Tallarico. Very much a who's who there. See that full event in its entirety one click back on this podcast feed. A coalition of college Democratic groups this weekend, including those representing UT Austin, Texas A&M, UT RGV, Baylor, UTEP, and Austin Community College, issued a statement reading in part, quote, "It's time to break quorum. As young Texans, we know exactly what this redistricting fight is about, a grotesque power grab by an increasingly unpopular president who wishes to rig the congressional elections so that voters cannot hold him accountable in the midterms. Donald Trump is a fundamental threat to our country, and participating in this redistricting scheme only legitimizes his unlawful actions," unquote. The likelihood of the counterpunch of reciprocal redistricting in democratically controlled states, including California, New York, Illinois, Michigan, and more, appears to be gaining steam. Timothy Malcolm at the Houston Chronicle writes on that quorum break jump scare we talked about on In Progress Friday night, the surprise but short-term skipping of the state by a collection of Democratic legislators from Texas who headed west to Sacramento and north to Springfield, Illinois on Friday to visit with Governor Gavin Newsom and Governor J.B. Pritzker, respectively, to discuss redistricting plans in Texas and how those governors might respond. Newsom is all for it, as we know. Pritzker perhaps a bit more reluctant, but definitely aware of the risks to American democracy the Texas Republicans are playing with. He says, quote, "If they're going to take this drastic action, then we might also take drastic action to respond," unquote. The New York Times says New York Governor Kathy Hochul has piped up as well. She says, quote, "There's other states that are violating the rules. I'm going to look at it closely with Hakeem Jeffries," unquote, while Governor Phil Murphy of New Jersey has started analyzing his situation there as well. Official hearings on Texas redistricting continued through the weekend, with Saturday's gathering in Houston getting heated in similar fashion to the one last Thursday night at the Texas State Capitol. Michelle Choi and Troy Kless at KHOU-TV say hundreds of people crowded onto the campus of the University of Houston on Saturday to protest the GOP power grab, and that a packed public hearing held by the Texas House Select Committee on Congressional Redistricting followed. Speakers at the rally and the hearing included the aforementioned Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett and her colleagues in the U.S. House, Lizzie Fletcher, Sylvia Garcia, and Al Green, state lawmakers Sinfronia Thompson, John Rosenthal, Gene Wu, Armando Wally, Jolanda Jones, and more. Andrew Schneider at Houston Public Media says almost all of the candidates running for Congressional District 18 held vacant, as we know, for months by Governor Greg Abbott. That vacancy pivotal to several recent wins by House Republicans, and that district now one of many targeted in particular to be largely nullified. Also took part in Saturday's events at U of H, including the aforementioned State Rep. Jolanda Jones, Acting Harris County Attorney Christian Menifee, former Houston City Council member Amanda Edwards, candidates Zoe Cador, Robert Slater, and more, including Isaiah Martin, who, as we've talked about, was arrested at the Capitol at last Thursday's House redistricting hearing after he refused to yield the microphone when his time to speak had expired. As of Friday night, last we gathered to record, Martin was still in jail. In fact, he was held for over 24 hours, but was finally released late Friday night, and we're glad to hear that the 3 misdemeanor charges against him have been dropped. One last note about a possible quorum break that hasn't gotten much attention. All the talk has been about House members hitting the road. But what about the Senate? One thing I learned over this eventful weekend is that rule about charging lawmakers $500 per day that they're AWOL to break quorum only applies to the House, not the members of the Senate. If you're paying attention, you know that there are exactly enough Democrats in the Senate, 11 of the 31, to deny that chamber quorum if all of them are away. This would require all 11 to establish and hold solidarity in lockstep, including some Democrats whom we've taken to task on occasion for not holding especially steady to progressive goals and ideals. That means generally conservative Dems like Juan Chuy Hinojosa, Cesar Blanco, Royce West, and Judith Zaffirini would have to lock arms with much more progressive senators like Sarah Eckhart, Molly Cook, and Roland Gutierrez, whom we just happen to have booked for another special session update this afternoon. Watch this feed for that talk with Senator Gutierrez coming up tonight. What a weekend this has been. Also on Friday came super tawdry word on the alleged possible reasons that Republican State Representative Giovanni Capriglione of Southlake might have suddenly reversed himself on a re-election run that he had just announced a month prior. Stephanie Coithen at the San Antonio Current writes on Friday's bombshell interview with an exotic dancer who claims she had a 17-year affair with a conservative DFW lawmaker, complete with allegations that he paid for her abortions, and that she had become uncomfortable after the representative allegedly made disturbing sexual comments about children, comments that I will not detail here, not because the representative has already started threatening lawsuits, but because these alleged fantasies are so patently and profoundly disgusting that basic decorum precludes it. To be clear, Representative Capriglione has not resigned. He says he intends to serve out the rest of his 7th term, which will end in January of 2027. That's a long time to sit in front of colleagues and cameras with this kind of stuff hanging around. Even wild-eyed right-winger and current Tarrant County Republican Party Chair Beau French wants Capriglione to resign, all while Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick wants Beau French to resign over the wacky shit he's been tweeting lately. None of this, I must note, is particularly boring. Our mission at Progress Texas is to counter the billionaire and corporate-funded conservative disinformation machine at a moment when funding for public and independent media outlets and media figures who don't bow down to MAGA is under full attack. Progress Texas relies on listener support to keep going, but we've lately come within 3 months of running out of funding. Progress Texas is in the middle of our summer vacation membership drive, and if just 10% of our audience signs up for a monthly donation of at least $10, we'd be good for the next year. We'd like to avoid going on a permanent vacation, and we could use your support right now as a monthly contributor. Please join the fight against authoritarianism and for progress in Texas right now at progresstexas.org. And thanks to brand new monthly supporters Annie Wilson Wetmore, Cheryl Lassiter, and Deborah Zaloaga, all of whom are on board. We appreciate all of you very, very much. While you're at the website, by the way, make sure and grab the merch to match your progressive values at our web store. You're going to find Y'all Means All, Revolution, and our most popular Humans Against Ted Cruz t-shirts. Those are all union printed right here in Texas, all waiting for you there at progresstexas.org. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Monday, July 28, 2025. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Progress Texas is a nonprofit rapid response media organization promoting progressive messages and actions. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day and a great week. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.